Shalom, this is the second in the series of Ask the ERABBI questions. Several questions on conversion. One is, are converts equal to born Jews in the status of Judaism? Answer is absolutely yes. Second of all, can you convert to Judaism? Absolutely yes. And are conservative converts recognized by all Jews? The answer is no. A lot of the Orthodox don't recognize conservative conversions, unfortunately. They constitute a small portion of the Jewish people, and it's very difficult to convert with Orthodox rabbis. I don't think you're learning absolutely correct Judaism. You're learning a version of Judaism. I think conservative Judaism is the most authentic way to convert, but they're not recognized by all. See my videos on conversion, which are on the various sites, for answers to those questions. Second of all, somebody wanted to know if conservative Jews consider the Talmud holy and whether it's studied in conservative Judaism. The answer is yes. We have long Talmud requirements in rabbinical school. We definitely consider the Talmud to be holy. Sadly, it's not, frankly, not often that's studied in conservative synagogues. Sometimes rabbis will have a Talmud class, but it's certainly not studied as much as it is in Orthodoxy, although it certainly should be. Then somebody wanted to know, they're learning Hebrew and they've come across the Hebrew letters Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey, and they don't know how to pronounce it. Well, sometimes it's the grammatical form to be, but usually it means God. We just don't pronounce the name of God anymore. Only the high priest did on Yom Kippur Day in the Holy of Holies, and we don't have a high priest anymore. We don't have the Holy of Holies. We just don't know how to pronounce it, and so we don't. We pronounce that formation of letters Adonai. Jehovah's Witness obviously try to pronounce it, although there's no J in Hebrew, and we just have no idea how to pronounce it. You can see my video on names of God for further explication. Then somebody had a kashrut question, a couple of them actually. One question was, can you have fallow with milk? And the answer is no. You should see my milk and meat video. There was a time in Jewish history when fallow was considered parv, neither milk nor meat, so you could have it with milk, but today it's considered in the meat category for the last many hundred years, and therefore you can't. Then someone wanted to know about kosher wine. Well, the short answer is that we consider all wine kosher. The Orthodox don't, for dubious reasons. They worry about idolatry, but today, what kind of wine is idolatrous? Also, they are concerned that if you drink wine that's made by Gentiles, you might mix with Gentiles. Well, our Jews mix with Gentiles anyway. So the Rabbinical Assembly recommends for religious purposes, when you're making Kiddush for Shabbat or a holiday, you should use wine made under rabbinic supervision. Otherwise, any wine is considered kosher. Then I had a series of questions about people who've encountered people who are supposedly Jewish who say they believe in Jesus. Well, you can see my 4 videos on this subject, Jesus and the Jews, or Jews Not for Jesus 1, 2, and 3. On YouTube, they are number 35, and then 200, 201, and 202. Somebody who claims to be Jewish, who believes in Jesus, is no longer viewed as Jewish by the Jewish people. The Supreme Court of Israel has ruled twice on that. Then somebody wanted to know about converting to Judaism, where they did the Hatafat Brit on themselves and wanted to know if that was kosher. Well, strictly speaking, some Orthodox or ultra-Orthodox would say it's not. His rabbi said it was fine. They showed the gauze with the blood to the witnesses. I said, after the fact, we're much more lenient than before the fact, even if somebody said that it should be done by a moyel or a doctor. So you're Jewish and don't worry about it. Then somebody wanted to know about converting to Judaism, and they currently work on Shabbat, and do they need to find a new job? Well, that depends on your philosophy of Judaism. Of course, the Orthodox would say, yeah, you can't work on Shabbat. I would say that too. You shouldn't work on Shabbat. But if you already have a job, you should work towards not working on Shabbat. Frankly, most of our Jews today who have a retail job and need to work on Shabbat do. That's why at the beginning of the century, the 8 o'clock Friday night service came to be. But definitely it'd be good to work towards a place where you can get home in time to light candles at the proper time, that you don't have to work on the Sabbath. But the reality of the world is that many do, and certainly wouldn't need to jeopardize your financial situation to stop. In my opinion, right now, you should definitely work towards it if you can. The Orthodox rabbis would say absolutely you shouldn't be working on Shabbat. In terms of gematria, you should see my video on gematria, but somebody wanted to know if gematria is done in other languages, specifically Aramaic. And the answer is yes. It's done in many languages. In fact, I know a rabbi who does it in English. A is 1, Z is 26, and he makes up words and numerical meaning based on the numerical meaning of a particular word. There's no basis for that in past Jewish history. The significant one was Hebrew and then a little bit in Aramaic. But that's the answer to that question. And then finally, in this series of questions this week, somebody wanted to know about whether the Messiah is going to be named Emmanuel. And that comes from a verse in Isaiah, but not in Jewish history have we believed that that's the name of the specific person who's going to usher in the Messianic era. There are many opportunities for that been named specifically throughout the Bible and weren't. And so we don't pay attention to the idea that the person has to be Emmanuel. Emmanuel simply means God, El, is to us. It's a general, generic idea, not a specific name. So those were the questions on for this week for ERABBI. I have videos on virtually all of these questions that elaborate more, and please email me your questions for next week's version.